What's up, guys? Good morning. Good morning. How's everybody doing? Let me know if you guys can hear me and see my screens on YouTube. How's everybody doing? Actually, no, you can't see my screens yet. You just see me. Let me know if you guys can see me over on YouTube. Good morning. Good morning. Daggerrock, good morning. Welcome in, man. Olivagus Forex, welcome in, man. Daniel, what's up? What's up? Dexter, good morning. Yashil, see you in here. Johnny, what's up, man? What's up? What's up? How's everybody doing? Everybody having a good week so far? Everybody loving the increased volatility we've been having? Yeah. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome in. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Should be a fun one today. We've got some giveaways I just confirmed. So you guys know we've got Apex, Funded Next, Alpha Capital giveaways. What's up? What's up, Armel, George? Welcome in, guys. Good morning. So it's been an interesting week, huh? A lot of selling has come in the last couple days. Fortunately, I was able to capitalize on it a bit this week. It's a pretty nice week. But we're in a little bit of a tough place here this morning, given that the downside has already been continued quite a lot overnight. It could keep going. It could reverse. But when things like this happen, when the market just like makes a large continuation move overnight, it does put me in a little bit of a tricky place because I don't like to go against the momentum. I also don't like to chase things too far to the downside, just given how many times we have seen just massive V-shaped recoveries on every large sell-off over the last forever, years, but especially the last year and a half. What's up? What's up? Glasses. What happened to gold? I don't know. I don't really watch gold. I know a lot of people are, it's a new thing everybody's hopping on just because of the volatility and everything that's gone on with it. But honestly, I 99% trade ES, SPY, the S&P 500, and then occasionally I do a bit of NQ, QQQ. So that's what I do. And I try to kind of avoid shiny objects. You know what I mean? I just kind of focus on what I'm good at and ignore anything else, even though it does look tempting. What's up? What's up? Hi. Good morning. Yep, the market is down. I am drinking an iced latte. Have an espresso machine. Somebody asked in the chat, iced lattes for me. So if you're new to watching me trade, I trade primarily the S&P. I'm an order flow trader. I'll share my screens and go through that. But I do analysis based on, supply and demand, support and resistance, that kind of stuff, to come up with technical areas. I also incorporate a lot of volume profile stuff to come up with where market auction participants are. And then I use that information to come up with key areas that I look to trade. But all of my actual trade executions and setups are based on reading the order flow in real time. So we'll walk through that today. As always, let me know in the chat if you guys have questions. I love to spend time just helping people kind of understand things, answering questions as much as I can. But with that, we'll move through. We do have some great sponsors here. And honestly, it wouldn't be possible for us to do all the streams and things that you guys see without them. So big thank you to all the sponsors here. And, Funded Next, we have Funded Next free account giveaway today, as well as Alpha Capital and Apex. There's a ton of work that goes on behind the scenes from the ChartFanatics team, and that is made possible by having great sponsors that the team works with here. So thank you very much. And if you're in the market for those types of things, definitely check out the discount codes and promo codes that are shared here, because who doesn't like getting a discount, right? So here's my bookmap screens. This is what I talk through a lot for order flow analysis. This is like my primary tool that I use for analyzing order flow. I also use things like footprint charts, volume profiles, and things like that. But I love bookmap for order flow analysis because for when I have my full DOM, so I can see all the completed transactions. You guys will see this clear out at 9:30. But I have basically kind of the level 2 data on the heat map, resting orders. These are passive buyers and sellers. Above price is going to be passive sellers, below price is going to be passive buyers, and then the green and red bubbles are, aggressive market orders. Does that answer your question? Yeah, so which order flow platform do I use? I use Bookmap, and I use Sierra Chart, and I use Trade-of-8, and just for candle charts, I use Thinkorswim. So we'll get into the game plan here this morning. We have a little bit of time, but I'll also answer questions as we get into it. Kind of a simple game plan today, just because we've kind of already extended this move lower. Couple things that I'm watching here in the pre-market. I generally don't take trades in the pre-market. Just my data over time has suggested it doesn't tend to go well. Tend to see like little spikes and lack of continuation on them or reversals on them, and it just don't tend to do it. Tend to wait till the 9:30 open before I look to take trades, and then I primarily like to trade when the volume and volatility are best over time. Generally just between 9:30 and 11. There are days where I'll trade in the afternoon if there's good volatility going on, but generally 99% of the time I'm just trading like between 9:30 and 11. Yeah, we will be doing the giveaways later in the stream, so stay tuned for that, guys. Like I said, we have a few different accounts to give away with Apex, Funded Next, and Alpha Capital. Let me see here. We'll go through the game plan here. If you guys are not already in the ChartFanatics Discord, I highly recommend it. It's a free resource and lots of good traders to connect with in there. I have a channel in there as well, so I've shared my game plan for this morning that you guys can read through and reference. But I will talk through it here on stream. But highly recommend joining in there. You can see, updates from myself as well as the other professional traders here in ChartFanatics Live, and just connect with a lot of other great traders in a free community. So highly recommend checking that out. All right, so we'll get into the game plan here briefly. Let me just move my screen over here so we can talk about this. See if that fits. Yeah, we can see that. So I'm just looking at a 4-hour chart here, right, on ES futures, S&P 500. When I trade SPY, I'll occasionally trade SPY as well, but I still typically do my analysis on ES. So yeah, the market has been heavy the last 2 days. We kind of had a bit of consolidation at the highs up near 6,900. We had this area that this blue area you see marked here was a low volume node area. That's just an area, you could also on a candle chart sometimes see it as a fair value gap. But what this was just an area from Tuesday where buyers were very aggressive and left a trail of low volume. I was watching this to get defended on pullbacks. It did several times. And then yesterday in the pre-market, we broke through it. I was able to capitalize on shorts there on the break of that yesterday and played that to the downside. Now, once we broke through there, the wheels kind of came off. I was initially just targeting these 6830s, right? Because this was prior day lows. It was just an area that I saw we could fake out and recapture, but the market has turned quite heavy. Every single pop has just been sold into. So continuing to watch that. However, I do not love chasing moves to the downside. Honestly, I like getting positioned in moves for downside moves. I do not like initiating shorts near lows. I'll either look for pops to have like a top reversal type setup. But if we just continue to fall here without much of any pop, it becomes very difficult for me to trade it just from a risk versus reward perspective. I don't like to chase moves to the downside. I very much focus on risk versus reward. Win rate is a key factor as well, but I give more emphasis on on risk versus reward and trade setups. And the way that I typically control win rate is just by, looking at good quality setups and staying patient for those. Like obviously the more patient I stay, the more key areas that I look to trade around is just going to improve my win rate. But for me to take a trade, I typically need to see a good opportunity, both in terms of win rate, which is a good probability location and context. And then also I need to see an entry model that I use that provides very high risk versus reward. For me, 2 to 1 is minimum. I like to be 4 to 1, 5 to 1 or more on most trades. But I won't even consider taking a trade if it's less than a 2 to 1 risk versus reward setup. Just giving you guys kind of an overview of how I look to trade, and as I talk about the setups that I'm watching for here this morning. So the context coming into today is quite heavy. We've reversed pretty much all of the buying that started the week. Last Friday, we had some really aggressive buying, left this large fair value gap area on the 4-hour chart. And then we gapped up to start the week this week and continued that move all the way up until, what was this, the 12th, right? We kind of based and consolidated here, broke and reversed the whole entire week and then some. We kind of did a break and retest under this gap zone. You can see I had this gap zone marked between 67.72, 67.65. We dropped all the way under there yesterday, which was a crazy, not crazy, but a decent size sell-off. And then we've kind of broke and retested and continued lower already here in this morning. So that context to me is a little tricky to trade, right? Just because we've made a pretty extended move. The tape is very heavy. Sellers are really in control in the short term. So I am very cautious and look for good areas if I'm going to try to catch a bottom reversal to go against that. But at the same time, unless I see a good pop into a key area, good confirmations, I don't really like to chase shorts to the downside. But for context, these trend lines that I have marked here, I don't typically, again, I just mark trend lines and support and resistance levels, supply and demand levels are just areas to watch the order flow and watch the market auction around for me. What's up, Marco? Welcome in. Yeah, if you guys haven't already, smash the like. That helps this channel get reach. That helps more people join in. So if you like seeing free live streams, getting in-depth free education from a lot of pro traders here, then all I ask is smash the like button. That helps us out a ton, and I greatly appreciate that, guys. So for context, like when I'm looking at the market, I'm looking at technical areas like trend lines, really only key higher time frame trend lines, and support and resistance, supply and demand levels. It's just areas of interest. I don't buy or sell based on price going there, right? It has not much to do other than I'm looking at those areas for one, where liquidity exists, right? Resting orders. And two, like where other participants are seeing and they're going to get involved, and I can read that on the order flow so I can see where I want to get involved with a trade, right? Does that make sense in the chat? Yep. I'm heading out right after this stream. I got to go travel. I'm running an ultra marathon, so tomorrow. So doing this stream for you guys today, kind of delaying leaving, and then I gotta go head out right after this to head up north and go run an ultra marathon tomorrow. So that's gonna be fun. So I gave you guys that context because there was a couple things that I was watching. For one, we have firmly broken under this trend line now. I may actually go ahead and remove that. It's not so key anymore. It was stemming from back here. You see we made multiple lows on it. And I left it up despite we swept under it a couple times because we just quickly kept recapturing it and it still kept reacting. And so I left that up, but then I also have this one here on the 4-hour chart from these lows, which cleanly reacted 1, 2, 3 times. So just because how this has reacted multiple times here, and we're seeing it to start to happen here, yeah, we could see like a 3-touch trend line break here and now continue much lower, right? That's possible. But without seeing really good confirmations, it's hard for me to go against that when buyers keep defending that, right? Until I see that change. But Couple things that I was watching for, which has kind of already played out this morning, was I was watching to see if we swept under this 4-hour low here from last Friday. And I was watching to see if we would get a fake out dip on it for me to go long, just for a quick scalp, right, guys? For me, reading order flow, like I can scalp an entry with 2 or 3 points of risk, and it's an easy, 10, 15 points on a relief bounce on a level like that. So unfortunately, that already played out here in the pre-market. But since we did sweep out those lows and we're kind of retesting this trend line, we're kind of balancing here between 6,700 and 6,680 on ES. I'm very cautious here in the middle of this, guys. And you can just see on this 4-hour candle that's forming up here, we're very balanced. And I'll show you what I'm watching on the volume profile next. But I first wanted to talk about this for context, right? So a couple things that I'm watching here. If buyers manage to get strong and start initiating a pretty nice short squeeze of everybody that shorted overnight, especially if we can recapture back over 6,700, then I'll be looking for opportunities to long like a pullback or a break and retest type of setup, and just target. We have an area of low volume where sellers are aggressive overnight between 67.20 and 30, right? And that's kind of where we broke this prior 4-hour low when we sold off here. So, and it's also kind of around where this fair value gap started here on this last 4-hour candle. So there's kind of multiple things there that point to that area. So I could either, one, wait to see if we get a pop up there, see if sellers reject it again to possibly go short, targeting and drop back into 6,700, drop back into the low of day if sellers are really aggressive, continuing this lower. Or on Fridays, we may see more of a mean reversion where we've now taken out all the buyers from this week. We've swept out the lows again. If this is going to be kind of a flat week, then we could see a nice mean reversion bounce if buyers are able to recover this trend line, recover 6,700, and continue to show strength on pullbacks. Then I'll possibly look to take that long, targeting those 67.20s, 67.30s. Right? Excuse me. The other thing that I'm watching is if I don't really see an entry for that, or I just don't feel it for whatever reason, if we pop up here into the 67.20s to 30s, I'll be watching to see if sellers reload and then target, a drop back into 6,700, or if it's a really heavy drop back into the lows, right? So that's just a brief overview of what I'm watching here on the 4-hour. If we do break these lows and continue lower, the next thing I'd be watching is probably just this low here, Friday's session low. I don't think I have any other good supply and demand support and resistance type levels. We do have, kind of a unfilled 4-hour fair value gap there, right? So we could mark that as just a kind of a point of interest to maybe use as a target if the wheels come off again today and we just keep dropping. I'll just 4-hour key level. All right, so that's just a level to keep an eye on if we start really getting some crazy downside continue again today. Yeah, if you guys have questions, drop them in the chat. Let me know. Happy to go through it. Just kind of talking through the game plan here for what I'm watching out for this morning. Now, let me take a snip of my volume profile so I can start kind of share with you guys what I'm watching here. And I will check the chat here and let me know. All right. So volume profiles I typically look at on a 15-minute or a 30-minute candle chart. This is a 30-minute candle chart that I'm looking at the volume profile on, and it just adds confluence to the levels and things that I'm watching for. Typically on downtrending days, you'll see more of a wavy volume pattern like this, right? Because we're kind of basing, dropping, basing, dropping. So on a trending day, we'll kind of see more of a volume pattern like that. And then in balanced conditions, we'll start to see more of a bell curve volume pattern, right? Which we saw up here. And on the break of that, we saw, that balanced conditions where all that volume was, and we saw a nice kind of break and retest there yesterday. and continued much lower. Now we've kind of done the same thing here where we had this balancing period yesterday afternoon. We spent a good amount of time there, spent a good amount of time building volume there, broke down from it, built more volume here, broke down from it again. So like over the last couple days, we're clearly downtrending. This is that area that I talked about where there's a decent low volume area around the 32s to 20s ish, right? So we could call that a low volume node area that I'm watching. And you can see just on this 30-minute chart right here where those sellers were really aggressive and broke down the prior overnight lows. So that's kind of that area that I'm watching. We may pop up into there, we may not, I don't know yet. But this area between 6,700 and kind of 6,680 is kind of a watch out from area for me because we're just kind of consolidating here. It's kind of turning into a bit of a barcode here, even on just the 30-minute chart. I'll drop this, if you guys want to review, I'll drop these screenshots and things that I take in the chat on ChartFanatics. So if you guys want to review that or check it out, you can check it out there. Let me expand this a little bit and I'll talk about specifically like the setups that I'm watching for here. So I'm watching this key area here, which is, you know, where we consolidated quite a bit of volume and broke down these lows, and we left kind of this whole fair value gap area as well, right? And we have a low volume node there, just seeing how aggressive sellers were there. And then we have this area between, you know, 6,700, which is kind of just a big whole number that a lot of eyes are on, and 6,680. Which is kind of turning into a consolidation range here in this session this morning in the pre-market. So the two main things that I'm watching here this morning is, one, do we show a lot of strength above 6,700, above this kind of area where we've consolidated? And I would probably use just this area as a target, right? Or if we do pop, do we see a lot of signs from sellers reloading here at this area and we find an opportunity to go short and then just target back into this range? Or if selling is super aggressive, then maybe we leave runners on for a break of the lows, right? Because we are trending down in the near term. So I am watching, you know, I'm more open. If I'm scalping longs in these conditions, I'm probably looking to get in and out fast, right? When the market is this heavy though, and we're trending lower, if we, you know, observe a top reversal form at a key area, then I'm more open to like holding that for a continuation downside play, right? Just because we are trending lower over the last couple of days, the market's very heavy. So on my candle charts, I typically leave open just for kind of like context and structure. Right, I do kind of look at like the session ranges that we form, and I look at like swing lows and swing highs that we form. I'm looking at the 2-minute chart and the 15-minute chart intraday. And then sometimes I'll switch over and I'll just watch like the 15-minute charts on some other confluences like NQ. I haven't talked about NQ too much this morning, but NQ is relatively weaker as well. It's been leading lower. It's been making kind of more exaggerated moves to the downside. But I do often pay attention to things like SOX, which have a heavy impact, especially on NQ, and VX as well. And I'll talk briefly about that. VX is breaking out to the upside. We had prior highs around 21.5 roughly, right? So for downside pressure to continue on the indices, I would really want to see VX probably maintain above like 21. So if we see a little pullback on VX and the indices pop into those key areas, then you know, then that will add downside pressure if VX stays strong. The other thing that I'm watching is if we just are not even able to break out above these 6,700s and we just see like a kind of a little fake out pop here this morning over 6,700s, and we trap buyers on that and we don't even get up to those 6720s 30s, I may be open to taking that short for just a quick kind of mean reversion back into, you know, 80 to 90 area-ish. Mean reversion of this consolidation area kind of between 6,700 and 6,680-ish. Right, so if we have a little fake out pop over 6,700 and we reject back into that range, then I may scalp that just targeting like 6,790-ish, which is kind of where we're at now, but kind of already hit 6,700s here and rejecting back down. If it's super heavy and we do kind of break and retest under 6,680 and we break under there with really strong selling and weak pops, I'll continue watching that, you know, for the downside. No, I do not trade Forex. I've never traded Forex. Any advice how to start with Bookmap? Which plan would you choose for a beginner and which provider? If you check out my Instagram, Matt Owen Trades, and YouTube, I share a lot, and I'm going to be sharing more information about Bookmap specifically, how to use it, how to configure it, and things like that. And I share a lot of trade recaps and things like that on there on Instagram and YouTube. And also there's a lot of live trading that I've done on YouTube for free that you can check out the recordings of to see me use it in real time. And like, what better way is there to learn something than doing it live with someone? The order flow, does the order flow have volume? The order flow like is the real-time volume. So looking at my depth of market here that I have beside Bookmap, you can see the session volume profile by price here. So for each price, you can see the session volume profile. This is all going to reset at 9:30, by the way, guys, because I have this set to do that because I want to see the new information that develops for the session. And then right here, volume profile sell, volume profile buy. This is the cumulative delta of aggressive buyers and sellers by price. So I look at both of those things. And then if you want to see the cumulative volume profile delta, so this is basically the difference, like 1,200 minus 900, you know, it's 300 here, 298, right? 1,202 minus 904. So that's the delta difference between, you know, that. So the volume profile delta by specific price point for every tick. And when I look at this stuff, guys, I'm mainly looking for like outliers. I want to see, you guys see how that just cleared out at 9:30. So I'm mainly looking for things that really stand out, really large orders, aggressive, fast orders that move the tape, right? That move price quickly or sweep the tape. I'm looking at where large participants are getting involved in the market and then either passively or aggressively and seeing what happens with them. Another thing, this thing is moving fast this morning. When we have a lot of fear coming into the market, especially on two aggressive sell-off days like this, one, you know, we could see really aggressive pops that stop out late shorts. We could see big spikes in volatility, and here I am getting a Bookmap delay again. So heads up, I'm having a delay on my Bookmap data here. If that persists, then I can switch over to showing like a footprint chart or something. This has been happening to me recently often when I have spikes in volatility. Yeah, so like 30-second delay there on, that's unusable for me. Hang on, let me switch this over if we need to, 83s. We can watch the footprint chart here until that goes away. That's like unusable. So on the footprint chart here on Tradeovate, what I'm watching is just the total volume by per tick here on the right hand side, and then on the left hand side I'm looking at the difference between buyers and sellers, that volume profile delta but I'm looking at it in 5-point ranges. And then I'm looking at kind of a rough estimate of the cumulative delta of that price range for each 5-point range down here at the bottom. Right now, that bookmap data is going delayed on me again, and that's been happening often recently. Yeah, the bubbles are just going out of control. So I'll keep an eye here. If bookmap wants to not be delayed, then that would be great, but it's still like almost a whole minute delayed right now. Yeah, we're completely tanking here under the 6680s. Hardly even managed to get any pop at all. Now breaking under those 80s with some pretty firm selling. So if we do drop all the way down to kind of those key little spots from those prior lows around 66.55, I may cautiously watch that to just kind of scalp it. If we kind of fake out under it, scalp a relief bounce off of it. But I don't love doing that going against this kind of momentum. What I'm watching for first is just now that we've completely broken under these 80s is just to see if we get any kind of pops into the area to go short, targeting probably those 55s first, which is those Friday lows, last Friday lows. So kind of some aggressive buying. Just look to step in here a little bit at 73s. Some really aggressive buying. Do we have a bookmap? I feel kind of like naked and blind without bookmap here. This delay is crazy. That's like the worst it's been. I do like the kind of aggressive buying that's trying to come here on the sweep under these pre-market lows, which is also like the overnight lows as a whole. Starting to see some aggressive buying stepping in, but I don't know if it's going to get any kind of continuation or not. But you can see right here where that aggressive buying stepped in. But this thing is moving fast. Oh, what I was going to say, yeah, the point of control is shifted down here to the 73s. What I was going to say is, before I was interrupted by that, is that when the tape is moving super fast like this, you really want to be very cautious with your position size and understand that you're likely going to need wider stops often. I like that super aggressive buying that just came in. I just jumped in a long there while I was talking. I'm in at 77s, but I'm just targeting a sweep back up into 6,700. I went break even with that immediately here. That was super fast. I'm gonna cut half of that and just hold my break even risk here. So what I saw there was, one, how the super aggressive buying came in and swept it higher. And then two, wow, that came in super hot. I have an order set here at 66.97 to get out of this thing. Ooh, it's heavy selling coming in. It's up like 14 points here. All right, I'm gonna take that off. It was just a quick relief bounce scalp. Like, I'm not super bullish here, but super aggressive buying came in, so it was an easy scalp, right? So what I saw here is how this super aggressive buying came in, and you see the cumulative delta down here at the bottom of the chart just completely flipped from super red to being absorbed right? And I could get greedy here and keep holding for a massive breakout over 6,700. But remember what I said in the pre-market, if I take longs on a bottom like that forms in real time, I'm looking to just be in and out super fast and understand that it's counter trend right now. And it's counter trend. I'll show you my live broker. I'll show you the exact trade that I just executed, right? And by the way, guys, I don't trade prop firms or anything. I trade a real live account, my own personal capital. I traded just 2 ES contracts on that scalp because it was a very counter trend scalp. If it's my normal position size right now, if I see, good confirmations on a good trade, I'll take like 4 contracts. But right now, when I'm taking a counter trend scalp like that, for one, my risk is very, very small and it trails immediately because I'm going with that aggressive momentum that came in. And then 2, I typically will go down to like the lower end of my position size, which is just like 1 or 2 contracts because I'm just taking a counter trend scalp, right? But anyway, so let me go through like what I just saw here and then we'll continue to watch this because now I still like that setup that I talked about. If buyers get strong back above 6,700, I'm looking to go long here, targeting if we get a pullback that holds, targeting the 20s to 30s. But I just scaled out of that trade. What did I get in at? So I got in at 77 and I got out at 83 and 90, right? So I got like six points and then like 13, 14 points on my scale outs, right? But the risk was almost 0 on the trade. So I'll show you what I saw. So when we came down here, it was a little trickier because I'm used to watching Bookmap. And I do look at the footprint charts, but I don't use it as my primary confirmation like I did just now. But what I saw here is see how the volume built at these lows, and we see how that cumulative delta was aggressive into there, and then it flipped gray, meaning that it's being more absorbed right here, and then it flipped green. So when I saw this aggressive buying come in and swept the tape, look at the volume here on the right side of this footprint bar. This is a 5-point range bar, and you can see how we built volume here and then just aggressively shot out of there. I could have longed it on a pullback here. I didn't love doing that though because it just felt like a little too soon, and because of how heavy the tape is, it could have swept lower immediately. So I waited and I watched this pullback, and then once it started shooting up again, look at all this buying right here, right? Once it started shooting up again, I went long immediately right here at like 77. Where exactly did I get filled? I got filled at 77.75. So like right here, okay? And I put, no, not right here, right here. Let me just show you on my other footprint chart. I'm looking at Sierra chart, right? So this is my live Sierra chart account that I'm actually trading live account, right? So these are my actual fills on this trade, right? So what I saw here is one, see the 228 lot positive delta that hit right here at 73, okay? Didn't see anything of that size. Look at this whole drop down. Did not see any aggressive buying that size hit until there. Right? So on this drop down, boom, hit right there. And look at the reaction from price after that. Look how the tape swept higher here from aggressive buying. And you see the cumulative delta down here on the left-hand side shifted from red to green there. Now, and if we weren't downtrending so hard, I would have gone long immediately down here at like the 73s. But I wanted to wait just a minute because I didn't want to jump the gun too early because the tape has been so heavy here. So I waited to see the pullback. Then once we bounced aggressively out of there again, I went long here at 77s, and I just put my stop loss right here at 75 initially, because this is where this area is where we swept the tape higher again. So I want to see immediate continuation from those aggressive buyers that are rallying price higher. So my initial stop loss when I got in the position was right here at 75. And then as soon as price shot up with all this aggressive buying, I trailed my stop loss to break even because this is a counter trend scalp, right? I'm viewing it as it's working right now, or I'm getting right out of this trade, right? Because I'm catching a really aggressive relief bounce from aggressive buyers. And I'm just targeting a fast pop for 5 to 10 points back up into 6,700, right? 5 to 10 points on like 2 points of risk here, right? I was in at 77, 75. Okay, so 2 and 3/4 points of risk for what ended up being 82.75. What did I get? So net over 17.5 points, right? There's my bracket order that I put on this. 17.5 points. Okay, and then my next target, I should have actually closed probably up here because I started to see some resistance and I trailed my stop loss under this 5-point bar. So see how each 5-point bar is opening higher, opening higher, opening higher. So on this type of relief bounce setup, if it just keeps shooting up, I'm just going to keep holding, and I just keep trailing my stop under this 5-point bar here at the bottom, right? Because if it's just going to fly to the moon above 6,700, you know, I'm going to keep holding. Unfortunately, this one took me out like almost to the tick there at 90. You guys see that? Before it shot all the way back up over 6,700. So I missed another 10 points on this trade by a tick right there. Unfortunate. Just unfortunate. I just have to laugh about it because it is what it is, right? You know what I mean? Like that's how I manage risk consistently on these type of counter trend scalps, right? Because I'm catching really aggressive buying, flip the tape. I'm just going with it, and I'll just trail until it takes me out. That because if I try to be too discretionary about like where I'm getting out, I'll let the market tell me when to get out. And in this instance, it took me out right there, and it kept going, unfortunately. But I wasn't willing to give back. Like if we reversed from there, I wasn't willing to give back like 14 points of profit on a counter trend scalp. Yeah, sometimes trailing stops gets me 20, 30 extra points on a trade. Sometimes it gets me out to the tick, but either way, I still caught my piece, right? Remember, I was risking less than 3 points, and I got out of that part of the position at 90. I was in at 77, so I can't do math right now. Like 12.5 points, right? 12.5 points on less than 3 points of risk on just a quick counter trend scalp, guys. Like I'm not gonna write into the Wall Street Journal and tell them about this massive trade I took or anything, right? It's just a scalp, but easy money. It was easy money with almost no risk, right? And those are the trades that I love. When confirmations are good and risk is like minuscule. You guys see how easy that was, like to catch 3, 4, 5R, even on just a quick counter trend scalp using order flow. Like people work really hard with big trades to catch 4 or 5R. With order flow, I'm like, that's an easy money, easy scalp. And I can do that with pretty high precision reading the order flow, right? Good enough to frequently have above 50% win rate. But you know, you frequently catch 4 or 5R, you do the math on a calculator, you don't need to have a super high win rate. That's just a result of taking good trades for me, right? At good levels. So we're back above the 6,700s now. I just wanted to give you guys an in-depth, because I know that was so fast. It would have been like impossible for people to call you, like try to copy me. But I'm showing you what I saw so you can see it for yourself, so you can do it for yourself, right? Because at the end of the day, I like to teach people how to fish so you can do it for yourself. You're never going to be successful in the long run just trying to copy someone else. Nice. Somebody caught 9R on that. That's sick. Victor made 22 points on that. Bro, you guys did better than me. Nice catch, man. Nice catch. Put a W in the chat for those folks. Great work, guys. This thing is still steaming. I would still be in this trade had that not got my trailed stop out to the tick. That's just how it goes sometimes. There's nothing I can do about that. There's nothing I can do about that. That's just how it goes sometimes. People ask me like why I have like multiple brokers set up, like, and multiple different things. And this is kind of why, right? So I can use my footprint to read the order flow. I'm having an issue with Bookmap. Let's see if that delay is still up. Bookmap is like unusably delayed right now. I don't know what's going on, if it's the live stream that's giving me issues with Bookmap, but this has been a repeated issue recently. But no worries, we can read the order flow with a footprint chart. So I was still able to catch that trade just using a footprint chart. Let me know if you guys got questions in the chat. So what I'm watching for right now is if we get any quick pullbacks, especially around 6,700 to 67 like 05 ish. There's really aggressive buying there. We left like a gap on price right here, 67.01, because buying was so aggressive there. Man, I wish I was still in this. Was that crazy how we nearly bottom ticked this crazy aggressive drop? We nearly bottom ticked it by using order flow. Absolutely nothing on a candle chart, in my opinion, right? Maybe somebody's got a different strategy in math, but absolutely nothing about just looking at price without in-depth information. Yeah, I'm not chasing this to the upside. I'm looking for if we get a pullback here. If we get no pullback, remember, I'm still watching that 67.20 to 32 area, which is where sellers were really aggressive overnight. We left that low volume node. And it's looking like we're just going to go all the way up there now without even a pullback. So it is what it is. Yeah, you want to be very careful catching a falling knife, especially if you're just trading with a candle chart, right? Using order flow gives me very, very clear vision of like when I can try to catch a bottom based on seeing buyers. I have a real reason, right? I'm not just blindly trying to catch a bottom on a candle chart, right? I can see real data that I just went through with you guys on exactly when to catch a bottom when aggressive buyers flip the tape the other way. And you know, being able to spot those pivot points in real time is incredible for giving you an edge at understanding like the market auction and when the tape is flipping from sellers to buyers and vice versa. There's a quote I always talk about from the book, The Studies in Tape Reading, from Wyckoff, old book, like 100 years old now, but he's kind of the OG of order flow and tape reading, and it's one of my favorite books. So here, some aggressive selling just hit here. You see how kind of the opposite of what I talked about at the lows. We just popped into that low volume node area from 20 to 30, and see how that volume just built here, and then sellers swept lower. So some aggressive selling is stepping in here for the first time since we've seen this pop. But anyway, there's a quote from that book that says, you know, for people that are able to like read the tape and understand the pivot points in the market, right? There is very little to lose and very much to gain, right? And that is the essence of like tape reading and getting very precise entries, very precise reversals and things like that, because I can do that like as the pivots happen, and the risk is just minuscule and the reward is so high. This that you're looking at right now is Tradeovate, and I have a video on YouTube if you want to learn how to set this up like me. Tradeovate, and then the other one that I have is on Sierra Chart, but it's almost identical how it's configured here. Yeah, this is where, so remember, I was watching 67.20 to 67.32 where sellers were aggressive overnight, and we can see that from a volume profile, and it's looking even cleaner now. If I just drag my volume profile over here, see this area where sellers were very aggressive. One, this is a 30-minute chart. Look how we broke these lows and we left this low volume area here. This is the first time we retested it, and we're pulling back pretty aggressively. We only just barely retested the bottom of it there at 20s. I said 20 to 30, 32-ish area is where I was watching for a top reversal. We'll see if it forms. I didn't catch it, and we're already 10 point. I was sitting here blabbing to you guys. I did say in real time, you know, I saw this volume build up and then we swept lower pretty fast there. That is an aggressive flip from sellers. I didn't catch it, and I'm still watching. I would have liked to see a little bit of a deeper pop up into, and we can see, so this is what's great about this this chart that I have here configured on Tradeovate. For one, we have this information. Like if there was just like one chart to trade off for everything, this is great. Because for one, we have the volume delta, we see the order flow in real time. Two, on the right-hand side, you guys can notice we have the volume profile of today. So we can see this area, look, between 32 down to 20s. See how this volume is very low through there? That's where that selling was pretty aggressive overnight. And then I also have the same like type candle charts right here, 30-minute volume profile charts. Again, on Tradeovate, this is a different tab here. And if you guys want to learn how to set that up, I have a video on YouTube going over that as well. But we see the same basing period overnight here where we built this volume and then we aggressively sold through it. So this area right here is that low volume area where we can see a 30-minute fair value gap, but we can see real precise data behind it, real Y, right there. Now, if bulls manage to recapture above this, then that would be more interesting to me to go long a pullback. If we fill this volume in and sellers do not reject and we then hold above it and pull back into it, I'd then be looking to go long, probably targeting these last highs here around 67.75s. So we've now taken out these highs again. And you can see how large and aggressive the volume delta is here from buyers. So I'm not looking to step against this right now. Buyers still have a lot of momentum after that morning, like kind of fake out dip that we caught the bottom on. How are you guys feeling? Does this order flow stuff make sense? I know it can seem pretty complicated at first getting into it compared to like kind of simple price action strategies. But I will tell you, like over time, like getting experience, like understanding the market auction, understanding the relationship between buyers and sellers and how it moves price, it becomes like second nature, like a spidey sense that you're just reading. Let me know if you guys have any questions. Hoorah, somebody said happy birthday, Marine. Yeah, Marine Corps birthday a couple days ago. Got in the chat. You guys see my this side Marine stuff. Yeah, I was in the Marine Corps. Thanks for that. But do you guys, even if you just trade a price action strategy, I try to tell people, like, I talk and coach people all the time that I'm like, if you just add the precision of understanding the order flow to the same setups that you already look for with price action, but then do it with just add the precision of reading the order flow with it, you know, insane jump in win rate and risk versus reward. Yeah, deep charts looks really good. I don't have it yet. It's a new thing, but I probably will get it just to check it out. I mean, I have everything that I need. I don't really need anything else right now. Like, I've been using this stuff for years, many years now. So I'm kind of at a point where I don't really like changing things or doing new things because I'm just doing what works, what I've done for years. But it does look really interesting, and I would maybe like to use it for the candle charts with the volume kind of overlays that I've seen videos of. Looks really good. So for me, for this entry down here, what I saw for the entry was, one, we had really aggressive selling off the open, sweep under these lows. And then we saw this buildup of volume where sellers were like no longer in control, right? We see how we flipped here from the cumulative delta, and then we left this low volume here. Like, see on the right-hand side, these gray bars, that's like the cumulative volume, right? And so all that selling came into these lows and could not get price any lower, and we swept up so fast it left this area of low volume. That to me is a signal that buyers are very aggressive here and looking to reverse price. So as soon as I see that, I'm either looking for, one, a pullback here to get long and put a stop under these lows. In this instance, I didn't love doing that because I wanted to see a little more aggression from buyers to come in and go with it because of how heavy the tape was this morning. Then once I saw that and I saw all of this aggressive buying come in, I immediately went long with it here at 77s and just put my stop down here under where these aggressive buyers came in under 75, right? I got filled at 77.75, so I had a 2 3/4 point risk. and I was just targeting a sweep back up into the 6700s. I ended up, you know, like I showed you guys, I was trailing my stop and I got taken out here at the 6690s. But still, you know, 12, 13 points on a 2-point in risk. So, and then if you consider my scale outs, because I took half the position off for like 6-7 points, overall it was a net, because I was in 2 contracts, 2 points, so I was risking 4 points, 4 points of profit for, or 5 plus the 3/4, so I was risking about 5 points of profit for 17.5 points. So it's a little over 3R after accounting for scaling out. But that's what I saw for the entry. Somebody asked, they wanted to know. We're still popping up here, guys, into this this 20 to 30 range. But you can see how we're kind of going flat here. So there's some resistance going on here. There's kind of a battle going on here. But in the short term, right now, bulls have kind of taken control. Guys, we are having giveaways going on coming up here in just a minute. So remember, we have the Apex accounts, we have Funded Next accounts, Alpha Capital accounts. So we will be doing the giveaways here in just a minute as we watch the tape here. Yeah, this is the charts that I am showing you guys. So this is the order flow, right? I'm looking at the order flow visualized on a footprint chart, right? We can see the cumulative delta and the volume here. So I'm observing the order flow on a footprint chart. It's the same thing, just visualized differently on Bookmap. Let's see if we still have that Bookmap delay going on. Yep. Let me just close this and reopen it and see if that helps. All right, guys, so we are going to run a giveaways for the accounts. If you guys put in the word !join in the chat, we will enter you in. Enter that one time. If you spam the chat with it, you'll be withdrawn from the drawing. So one time !join in the chat, and you'll be entered to run the giveaway. We'll give that a minute here, and then we will pull the drawing. Let me get this up here. All right, we're gonna give it 1 minute, and then we're gonna cut. So !join in the chat if you want to be entered for the giveaway. So we've gone pretty flat here. Just, you know, one thing that I always talk about is the pace of the market. Right. And so what I mean by the pace of the market is how fast price is moving up and down relative and based on like the size of the orders that are coming in. You can see the pace of the market on this reversal was very fast, right? Look at the time intervals down here at the bottom when these bars are opening, very fast. But then as we've come up into this range here, which we were observing that could be a resistance area, could be an area sellers want to defend between 20 and 30, that low volume node area I talked about. We're seeing how that slowed down and we're now going sideways, right? So I love this on the footprint chart because it just gets rid of a lot of the visual noise on a candle chart. And we can see in real time, like the pace has slowed here and how buyers were moving up. And that gives us a good signal to and see how the cumulative delta down here at the bottom was green, 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 green on this uptrend, and it's really flattened out here. So sellers are definitely loading and trying to resist here. but I haven't seen anything on the order flow that are one of the entry models that I use to execute a trade on. So I'm seeing the resistance here from sellers between 20 and 30, but I haven't seen really anything that we can kind of see it here, right? Where sellers aggressively swept lower and then the buying volume dwindled on this retest. That's one thing that I look for, but it's not so significant that I'm looking to trade anything on it yet. All right, all entries are in. We've given it a minute here. So the drawing is now closed. We're gonna do the giveaway here in just a minute. Let me get the list of the names. Yeah, selling is trying to aggressively flip this rally now that we've tested that 20 to 30 area. All right, I got the list, guys. Let's go through. Let's do these drawings. Who doesn't love free accounts? Free opportunity, really. Free opportunity to get better at trading, right? That's how you should look at it, in my opinion. Focus on the process of developing your trading skills, right? Because that's what, at the end of the day, whatever you trade, prop firms, personal account, whatever, it's really the skill of trading that's going to take you far. So use this as an opportunity, right? All right, guys. First winner coming up. Helena 717. So for you guys to claim this, you need to go over to the ChartFanatics Discord and go to the section called where is it? Giveaways. Click the button there. So you're going to go into the ChartFanatics Discord, go to the giveaways. Oh, wait, sorry, new thing. Yeah, go to the giveaway section and follow the instructions there. 300K Apex funding account. Sweet. All right, next one coming up. Jester Pinkman 2672. Free account coming your way. Let me know if you're in the chat, Jester. There he is. Congrats, man. All right, we got one more coming up. Tendra 84. Let me know if you're in here in the chat, Tendra 84. Wow, aggressive buying coming in, guys. Super aggressive buying coming in. I'm not looking to fade this right now. Awesome, Tendra. There you go. Again, for you guys, go into the ChartFanatics Discord in the giveaways section if you want to claim that. And also check out updates from me and the other great traders on the team. Lots of good stuff in there, lots of free giveaways, lots of trading resources. Highly recommend joining in there. Yep. Check out the instructions in the giveaways channel. This is still a pretty tight battle here, in my opinion, between like 67.20 and 30s. Sellers really trying to reject this low volume node area. Buyers also really trying to support this momentum that has built this morning. You guys saw it's a random giveaway, right? But the great news is these giveaways go on like almost every day, I think, on the live streams with the other great traders in ChartFanatics Live. So more chances to win pretty much daily. Yeah, we can see kind of the cumulative delta now flipping back and forth, right? So definitely a battle here between buyers and sellers. It was an easy money scalp at the lows because the risk was so small, and seeing the aggressive buying come in and flip the tape was just like easy risk versus reward, high probability scalp. Matt, a bit confused about something and was hoping you could clarify. Frank, are you asking about like my trailed stop? What's up, Riz, in the chat? Frank, are you asking about my trailed stop on that trade? Are you asking about my entry? I'm a little confused with your question, but I'd love to dive into it. Look at that aggressive buying. See how that selling came into here, hit that low, and then look at, I love to be able to see this in real time, the cumulative delta flip. So I can really see at pinpointed spots like where buyers and sellers are getting involved with size. Frank, my trade. Are you talking about my entry on my trade, my trailed stop on my trade? Let me know. I think it sounds like you're talking about my trailed stop. So when I'm catching, like at the time I took the trade, it was not like I'm bullish on the market and I'm trying to catch an ultimate bottom reversal, right? I understood that I was going against momentum at a key spot on like what I call a fake out dip. And I was just catching the aggressive buying for a relief bounce. So when I do that, my process is when I see really aggressive buying flip the downtrend. Let's go back to my entry over here. And let me actually just go to my Sierra chart so you can actually see my entry, because I took this on my Sierra chart account. So my entry model for this trade, right, is seeing what I call like a morning fake out dip, right? We saw all of this really aggressive selling off the open that came down here into the low of these 70s, and it was just under the pre-market lows, right? So it was just a few points under the pre-market lows. So I was cautiously watching to see if this would happen, and it did. And what I saw was we had this really aggressive selling come into the lows down here. And then on this move lower, right? Look at this move lower. We don't see any. So I'm talking about on the left-hand side of these bars is the cumulative delta by price for every tick, okay? And look at this whole, so look at 9:30 open here. Since the 9:30 open, we dropped down under the pre-market lows, which were under 77s, right? So I'm usually looking for this within a few points, but I was giving it some wiggle room to see if it developed because the volatility is very high. Okay, so what I saw here is on this drop, look at that order, 228 lots, right? And I always say, people ask like, what's the size that you pay attention to? And I always say it's relative. It's relative. Like if we were seeing this type of order this whole way down, it wouldn't be that significant, right? But this whole drop down, I didn't see any kind of large aggressive buyer like that until here, right? Look at the delta on the left-hand side. Not seeing it, not seeing it, not seeing it, not seeing it. Bam. Okay. Now, just because I saw that, I was not willing to just immediately go long against this downside momentum. I wanted to see the reaction after that. So once we saw that, and then selling got weak at the lows, and then look after that how the tape swept higher. So when I say the tape swept higher, look at this is the volume on the right hand side of these bars. See how it built at the lows and then aggressively shot up out of there. So we can see how fast price moved out of there. You could call this like an intraday low volume node, right? It's a low volume area where buyers moved price up from there super aggressively. And then when we retested back down there, it held within a couple ticks of where this large buyer was, right? In a different circumstance, my entry model would have been to go long this pullback immediately right here where this was, okay? But I wasn't comfortable doing it because the trend is very down. So I wanted to see more aggressive buying come in and move price higher, and then I would just go with it and trail my stop, because I didn't want to long the pullback here because the tape has been very heavy leading into this. So I wanted to see a little bit more follow through from buyers before I jumped in it. Okay. So that was step one of the confirmation. And then we pulled back into it, and then price again rallied out of there super aggressively. Now, once I saw this rally out of there aggressively a second time, I'm like, okay, it's on now. So that's when I immediately went long right here. You can see my fill at 77.75. And I just put my stop right here at 75 because this is where aggressive buyers, look, you can see this little bit of selling here. They couldn't even pull it back. It shot up. So when I'm catching a trade like this, a fast fake out bottom reversal, I'm speculating aggressive buyers are coming in right now and flipping this thing to the upside. And I'm not trying to catch an ultimate bottom on it. I'm just catching it for a fast, aggressive relief bounce, okay? So my initial stop loss was right here at 75. As soon as price shot up, look at the cumulative buying on this right-hand side, right? See how price shot up here with all this buying? Once I saw that, just a couple points, I'm like, okay, stop loss is immediately going break even here. And this actually was not a great first exit. I think when I exited here, I market exited, and I got 5 points there. It looks like I got to go back and review this in TradeZella after. I wanted to get a higher exit. I think price pulled back fast on me when I exited there. So I caught a quick 5 points on it basically, and then trailed and had my stop trailed, and then I held. So to your question, Frank, I was just continuing to hold this trade until we broke back below one of these bars. I wanted to target 6,700, but once we moved up this high, I was no longer willing to give back a significant portion of my profit because I understood that this was a relief bounce scalp, right? So as we continue to open new 5-point ranges higher and higher, I was just going to trail my stop to the bottom of each range, right? Because if this is just a relief bounce and we pop back, I'm not willing to like give back all my profit and go break the lows again, right? So right here, I decided to trail my stop again to the bottom of this bar right here, this 5-point bar, and we just barely broke it by a couple ticks, and I flattened right there immediately. Because I wasn't gonna give back 12 13 points on a 2-point risk scalp, you know what I mean? And it was still a great trade, but man, it got me right here. So you see the bottom of this 5-point range that opened up, we pulled back, I stopped, to the tick, man. It got me to the tick. And then it kept going another 10 points from there, which would have been my 6,700. I would have gone all out. So there is no time frame on this. It opens up a new bar when a new 5-point range on ES opens, right? So when price moves more than 5 points outside of that last 5-point range, it opens a new bar. And that gives me a good feel of the pace of the market, because it's not opening up a new bar based on a time period. It's only opening up a new bar when price moves outside of the last 5-point range. Yeah, buyers are continuing to squeeze this thing higher. Does that make sense, Frank, of like how I was managing that trade? I think my mistake on this trade, and it wasn't even a mistake, is I took that first half of the trade off too fast. And I think I'll have to go back and replay it and review it on TradeZella because it happened so fast. I was wanting to get out on like a break above like 86, 87 on that. And I think what happened is it pulled back just a little bit when I flattened, and I got out at 82.75. So I only realized like 5 points on that first exit. And then the second one was like 12 points, I think. So I need to go back and review what happened there. It might have been that I was kind of like talking through the trade in real time, and I wasn't as sharp as I should have been. I'm not making excuses. I need to go back and review what happened there. It was still a good trade. I still realized like over 3R on the trade, but yeah. Yeah, I already took a trade today. Somebody asked if I'm going to take a trade. I took a trade today. I caught one. It was a really good, low risk, high reward setup. I was breaking it down for someone that had a question about my entry model that I used for it. And the trailed stop loss. Yeah, Frank, it just takes time and experience. And it looks overwhelming at first, but the more you just put time and effort into learning it, it makes a lot of sense fast. The platform we're looking at right here is Tradeovate, and it's a 5-point range footprint bar. And then I'm also flipping over to 30-minute volume profile range. So very, very bullish here on this, recovery. We got back above this kind of low volume area that formed here. We pulled back into it and held. So, I'm still watching for resistance here at the 20 to 30 range where we had this low volume area, but it's kind of filling in, and buyers are still kind of driving price up. So a lot of momentum has flipped to the upside. I'd love to say that I was still in this long from that bottom that we caught all the way down in the 77s. Like, look at the chart. Isn't that a crazy bottom catch just from reading the order flow? Like, sometimes I just get excited about this stuff. Like, I nerd out. Like, I'm like, man, did you see how we freaking caught that all the way down there, like at the lows, just by being able to spot that on the order flow? Like, that's insane, dude. That's actually insane. Oh yeah, let me pull Bookmap back up and see if we still have that stupid, ridiculous delay going on. I got to open a support ticket with them, man. I keep having this happen, and it's unfortunate. It may just be a problem, like my internet and connection is too bogged down doing the stream and Bookmap at the same time. But I've done streams for a long time and not had this issue. Jackson, if you check out my YouTube channel, I have a video going over exactly how to configure the Tradeovate footprint chart exactly like mine. Drop this down while that loads up. You guys see how this low volume area here between what was those 20s to 30s is kind of shrinking? I don't love that if you're a seller, right? That sellers are multiple times trying to reject that zone, and we keep just pushing up and squeezing up into it and filling that in. Yeah, but I have a full video breaking down how to set this up. So if you Tradeovate like me here, view the footprint chart like me here, you're welcome to check that out. Yeah, until I see something shift here, one, I'm not really comfortable like chasing longs up here at this point. And two, I don't want to fade the strength here. Even though we're testing this 20 to 30 zone, I don't, for the sell side, I don't like how we keep rejecting it multiple times and buyers keep driving up higher and higher, filling this area end until I see confirmations that tell me something different. Yeah, I've seen in chats that a lot of people are having similar issues with Bookmap. I've been using it for years, right? Like 5+ years, and I've never had this be an issue until like the last couple weeks. It happens occasionally with high volatility, but yeah, we did multiple giveaways already, guys. There'll be more coming in the future streams here. Aggressive selling, rejecting again there, but we keep what's happening here that's making me a little standoffish is just how sellers keep having these quick aggressive pullbacks from it. And we could just see like on a 2-minute chart here, right? Let me show you just a 2-minute chart what I'm watching. So I was watching this 20 to 30 area, right? Let me just mark that. I was watching the 20 to 30 area where we had that low volume node, and we see multiple times here, 1, 2, starting to be a third time where we're seeing some aggressive selling come in, trying to reject that, but it keeps lacking continuation, and we like push a higher high. Look at higher high, higher high, higher high. So we keep like kind of pushing in and filling in the volume in this low volume node. And when I see that happening, yes, it might eventually still work, but it becomes difficult to try to pinpoint it because it, unless you're willing to get chopped up 2-3 times on it before it hopefully works, it starts to just, not that it can't work, it's just not as good a quality to trade it. So there's a lot of like nuanced context things like that I use to kind of determine if I'm going to take a setup. Do I see a short opportunity towards the 5-minute OB? No, I'm seeing everything that I'm seeing, I'm sharing with you guys. This whole area between like 67.10 and 67.30 has become quite choppy. Do you use service package 11 for Sierra chart? Yes, I do. But I love, there's no one strategy to rule them all in trading, right? You can be a profitable trader with a lot of different strategies. But in my biased personal opinion, one of my favorite things about like order flow trading is just the ability to find opportunities with very high risk reward in all kinds of conditions and all types of setups. Like I don't even need really crazy big moves to like catch a very high risk versus reward piece. What's your method called? Order flow trading. I don't know. I trade the S&P 500 with, I view supply and demand structure, and I view entries based on reading the tape, reading order flow in real time. So remember what I was talking about as far as identifying volume profile stuff? Look what's kind of formed up here now in this range. And this is another confluence to add to what I was just talking about, how it's kind of choppy in the 67.10 to 30 range. See how we're just kind of building that bell curve of volume intraday here? with this low volume area above, low volume area below, and we're just kind of, if we zoom out, we downtrended, right? I'm zooming way out here to look at this. I'm talking about the volume profile on the right-hand side. But in the near term, right, like since, look how flat this is since, for a while now, since that pop. So since like 9:50 a.m. So we had a really nice down and up move in the first 10 minutes, basically 10, 15 minutes. And since the first 10 or 15 minutes, we've just been chopping up and down kind of around, what is this, VWAP? Indicators. Yeah, I think this is VWAP. Sometimes I have 20 email. This is VWAP though. But yeah, see how we're just building this high volume area here between 10 and 30? And we have kind of this low volume area below. It's just looking, that's what I'm saying. Like it's choppy in this range. I don't see a good edge here. If we recapture above these 30s now and pull back, then we could definitely continue higher up into the 45s to 65s. So now, after building this volume here, if buyers are aggressive and maintain above here, above these 30s, if we can get a little pullback now, that holds, I'd be very interested in possibly going long, targeting into the 45s to 65s. And that's even very, very apparent on a 2-minute candle chart now, right? Massive aggressive buying there, just broke the prior highs. So very simple play here. Now that we saw this range balance, we just made a massive fair value gap on the 2-minute chart, and we see exactly where we're interested on the volume profile, which is kind of the top of this box, right? So if we get a pullback in there, but especially between like 25 and 30, where that just fair value gap formed, we see that low volume area still intact there. If we hold that on a pullback, that will be very interesting to me to go long. Welcome in, Tiger Trades. You're late, bro, but it's all good. The live stream will be posted on YouTube as well. So we took a setup already just in the first few minutes this morning off the open. Really kind of undercapitalized on the move, but I followed my plan and my setup. But massive reversal from where we spotted the bottom this morning in real time in the 77s. I went long at 66.77. I'm already in and out of a trade, Tiger. What I'm watching for here now is this low volume area between like 34. It's a little high, but ideally like around 30. If we get a pullback in there that holds, I'd be interested in possibly going long and targeting into the 45s. But if we squeeze all the way up into these 45s, which is, so this is why I'm talking about the 45s, right? It was this last high area here in the pre-market before that sell-off. So stop losses and everything, liquidity there. But if we go hit that before we get any kind of a little pullback in here to go long, then, and we're just a few points away. For me, on scalping opportunities, like if I see the move already happened too much and target gets hit before like I get a good entry on it, it's no longer as good of a trade. Like having a good quality target to me is just as important as having a good quality entry, right? So I have a good valid thing to target that makes sense. I have a confirmation mentally and reason to hold the trade for that target. So everybody always focuses so much on like entry. What do you see to execute? What do you see to execute? Because everybody's trigger happy. But having good context and understanding where the market is at and a good target is such a huge part of taking a good trade. So you have good confluence and things in mind to hold for your target. I like this pullback here. If I see something to take it. 366 lot negative delta hit right at the 30s. Bouncing aggressively off there. I wasn't fast enough there, guys. I would have loved to catch that right there at 30. I was talking and not fast enough. Wonder if Bookmap is good now. Oh yeah, sweet. No delay going on Bookmap now. Let's watch this. All right, so Bookmap is back after a hard restart. Not seeing that delay up anymore. But that's okay. That's what, we can use multiple tools to read the order flow. Don't necessarily need Bookmap. Can use a footprint chart or something like that. It's the same information. It's just visualized different. Welcome in, Roar Like a Beast. First time in your stream. Welcome in. Welcome. Anybody have any questions on all of the order flow stuff that I talked through today? I know it can be a lot and it can be a little overwhelming. I'm telling you, put in a few months of work and effort to learn it. It becomes very apparent once you start learning how to read, buyers and sellers in the market, and it just makes sense. Yeah, so for me this morning, unfortunately, I undercapitalized and didn't have the biggest trade, but still an easy 3-4 hour trade. Can I explain how I spot fair value gap? I just use that term explaining an area on the candle chart because a lot of people are familiar with that and know. But to me, I'm really looking at the volume profile and order flow behind that to spot specific areas. But we can just easily observe this red candle closed here, open here, closed here, right? And then really aggressive buying came in and broke this candle and also broke these prior highs. So from, I think I'm not an ICT trader and I don't know, but I think they call that a fair value gap when we leave the high of this candle to wherever up here, right? I don't know. I'm an order flow market auction trader, but we see that form, but we see the real reason why that formed was aggressive buyers were there and they were so aggressive that the tape, price moved higher and left a lower volume area on the tape. And we can see exactly where on the order flow buyers were large and aggressive, and we can see exactly where price left areas of lower volume because it moved so high because there was such an imbalance between buyers and sellers there. When there's a large aggressive imbalance between buyers and sellers, and because of that, price moves higher very quickly and leaves, on a candle chart pattern, something like a fair value gap, but not always, right? So there's plenty of times where fair value gaps form on a candle chart, but there's not really anything key on the order flow. And so that's good to know, when you see the actual market auction, the actual buyers and seller participants, when something is actually key and when it's not. Can you quickly explain an example of how I utilize the DOM? Yeah, so just looking at the depth of market over here on the right-hand side, right? For one, I often look at the session volume profile. This is the same thing, just with specific numbers, is what I was showing you guys on the right-hand side of my footprint chart where I have the day volume profile. So this data all cleared after 9:30 though, so it's just showing me the day. So I can see areas of low volume, like this whole area here. We can clearly see on the volume profile, sell and buyers, delta. In the session volume profile, we rallied really aggressively through there, which we can see right here, that left this area of lower volume. So I look at things like that for context. I also look at things like the volume profile delta, which is the difference between aggressive buyers and sellers. So if I see an anomaly, like look at this, we had this pullback here. I'm just using this as an example. And on this pullback, we had this 600 lot aggressive buyer come in, right? So that's an anomaly, right? I don't see anything else of that size. So in that instance, you know, maybe if it was at a key spot, whatever, I'd be looking at an anomaly like that to possibly use as confluence to go long, or if we break below that, possibly view that as a trapped buyer to go short. So it really depends on the scenario, the context, and the trade that I'm looking to put on. But I'm just looking at things like the session volume profile, the volume profile delta, which is the difference between the aggressive buyers and sellers. And then I'm looking at, you know, and mainly what I'm looking at is things that occur with size and speed that are able to move price, where I'm viewing large participants are getting involved. And if you guys were paying attention, we pulled back to that 30 that I talked about, and we rallied up to the 45. So that setup just played perfectly. It happened too fast and I was talking, I didn't catch it. But if you guys were paying attention to the setup that I just told you guys about, it just played to the, like almost exactly to the point. I said it pulled back to the 30s. Like I can't even make this up. Like go back and watch the replay. I said, if we see a pullback to the 30s, boom, we got it. Look at all this negative delta here that was unable to break price lower. So what does that tell me? If there's this much negative delta, aggressive selling right here, and price does not move a tick lower, who's on the other side of that? A passive buyer absorbing those sellers. So when I see that and then price moves up from there, that is a very good cue to go long. Unfortunately, I was talking and I didn't catch it, but that setup that I talked about, a pullback to the 30s to go long, targeting the 45s, bam, there you go. J-Rod caught it, boom, there you go, man. Mohammed said, I took 2 trades looking at your book map and caught $600 in profit. Heck yeah, man. Jay, did you see the analysis that I just shared for the pullback to the 30s to go long? Is that what you're talking about? Man, multiple people caught that trade with me off the open this morning. More people catching wins just off the analysis that I'm sharing in real time. Caught that too. Chris Daniel caught that too. Was that sick or what, guys? How many people caught that? A bunch of people caught that just for me talking through the setup there. I was talking and I didn't even catch it myself, and you guys caught it. That's awesome. That's all good. Yeah, don't just copy me, take your own trades, but I hope the analysis and confirmations that I share with you guys is helping you have more confidence to take good trades, right? That's amazing. That was crazy. Called it. 30s to 45s, easy money. Those are the main setups that I'm watching for, guys, have kind of already played out. I also have to wrap up this stream because I have to go get ready and leave to go travel up north and hit an ultra marathon tomorrow. So I'll be back next Friday. If you guys want to see more order flow trading, hit me up on Instagram and YouTube. I share a lot of content around trading. So if you want more stuff, information and things from me on order flow analysis and trading, especially for ES and NQ, appreciate it if you guys just send me a message over on Instagram, whatever, and I'm very responsive in following up with people over there. So yeah, I got to head out for this ultra marathon, guys, tomorrow morning. So gotta go get prepped and I got about a 3.5 hour drive up there. So, all right, guys. Thanks all. Thanks for joining in. Super happy to see lots of people using this analysis to catch wins. That's amazing. So great trading today, guys. And appreciate you all. I'll see you next Friday. Peace.